If you've ever thought I could totally make it as a YouTuber, this story will make you think twice. A 23-year-old with 2.8 million subscribers had everything. Brand deals, a mansion, millions in the bank. One water gun prank at Buckingham Palace changed everything. His sponsors dropped him, his channel was demonetized, and he faced criminal charges. But what happened to the royal guard he targeted became an even bigger story, one with a twist that nobody saw coming. Comment your location and subscribe to see how one soldier's response changed YouTube forever. Corporal James Mitchell had seen worse things than water guns. At 29, his scarred hands told stories of 3 combat deployments: Syria, Afghanistan, and a classified operation in Eastern Europe that had earned him the Military Cross for exceptional valor. There was something about Mitchell that even his fellow guards didn't know, something that would make the events at Buckingham Palace even more extraordinary than anyone imagined. Standing guard at the palace's east entrance should have been the peaceful part of his military career. The irony wasn't lost on him. After surviving IED explosions and sniper fire, he now faced his greatest challenge from tourists with smartphones and social media dream. But Mitchell understood something his tormentors didn't. True strength wasn't about reacting. It was about controlling when not to react. What tourists saw was a statue in red. What they didn't see was a man whose peripheral vision had been trained to detect threats at 200 yards, whose hearing could distinguish between a backfiring car and actual gunfire, whose mind remained constantly alert, even while appearing perfectly still. Tyler "Prank King" Matthews represented everything Mitchell had learned to despise about modern fame culture. The 23-year-old YouTuber had built his empire on humiliating others, targeting those who couldn't fight back. His Beverly Hills mansion, worth $4.2 million, served as both home and content studio, a monument to digital success built on views, likes, and advertising revenue that exceeded $200,000 monthly. Tyler's appetite for content had grown insatiable. His audience demanded bigger, bolder pranks. The algorithm rewarded outrageous behavior, and Tyler delivered it with surgical precision. Making Karens Cry in Walmart had garnered 12 million views. Pranking homeless people with fake money brought in another 8 million. Each video pushed boundaries further, chasing the dopamine hit of viral content. The morning of July 15th began routinely for Mitchell. By 8 a.m., he stood at perfect attention, 6'2" frame motionless, despite London's climbing temperature. His trained eye immediately noted Tyler's arrival. The professional cameras, excited crew members, and growing crowd of followers created an energy his combat-trained senses flagged as potentially dangerous. Tyler's livestream had attracted 6.1 million viewers, his largest audience ever. Comments flooded the screen. "Do it! This is gonna be epic! Rip Tyler's channel LOL." The anticipation was palpable, subscriber count climbing in real time as word spread across social media. "All right, chat, here we go," Tyler whispered to his wireless microphone, concealing the neon green super soaker behind his back. "These robot guards supposedly can't move no matter what happens. Let's test that theory." The ice-cold water struck Mitchell directly in the face with surprising force. It cascaded down his features, soaked into his pristine scarlet uniform, and pooled at his ceremonial boots. The shock of the freezing liquid against his skin was immediate, but Mitchell's reaction was controlled by something deeper than training, by pride, by honor, by the knowledge that millions were watching. For 17 seconds, that felt eternal. Mitchell remained perfectly motionless. His peripheral vision caught everything: Tyler's triumphant celebration, the crew's excited filming, the crowd's mixture of shock and amusement. But he also noticed something else: palace security moving into position, their radios crackling with urgent communication. Tyler's face exploded with triumph. "Yes! Oh my God! Did you see that? Chat, we just made history!" He spun toward his camera, water gun raised like a trophy, completely oblivious to the forces he just set in motion. The livestream chat erupted. "You!" He actually did it! This is insane! But scattered between the celebration were warnings. "Bro, you're done. This ain't America. Delete this now." Palace security moved with practiced efficiency. Within 90 seconds, Tyler found himself surrounded by officers who'd been monitoring his crew since their arrival. His confused protests: "It's just a prank, dude. I'm American. I have 2.8 million subscribers," fell on deaf ears trained to recognize assault when they saw it. "Sir, you've just committed assault on a serving member of His Majesty's forces," the lead security officer explained as Tyler was handcuffed. "Your nationality and social media following are irrelevant to British law." As Tyler was led away, his digital empire began its spectacular collapse. The arrest footage, captured by multiple phones, went viral faster than his original prank. But this time, the comments weren't celebrating. They were condemning. Within 6 hours, the first consequences materialized. BetterHelp, Tyler's primary sponsor worth $45,000 monthly, released a statement. We are immediately terminating our partnership with Matthews Mayhem. This behavior does not align with our values or community standards. Ridge Wallet, Raycon earbuds, NordVPN, and HelloFresh followed within hours. In less than 12 hours, Tyler had lost over $180,000 in monthly recurring revenue. YouTube's response was equally swift. The platform demonetized his content and issued a strike that removed his live streaming privileges. But the real story was just beginning at Buckingham Palace. The incident triggered an immediate protocol review. Colonel Sarah Whitfield, commanding officer of the Kingsguard Regiment, called an emergency meeting within 24 hours. The footage of Mitchell standing motionless while being assaulted had gone viral for all the wrong reasons. But it had also revealed something troubling about how social media was changing the nature of threats against ceremonial guard. The old protocol assumed civilian harassment would remain verbal or, at worst, minor physical contact, Colonel Whitfield explained to her senior staff. Social media has changed the game entirely. These content creators are escalating to get views, and our people are becoming targets for increasingly dangerous behavior. The briefing room fell silent as she continued. We've had water guns today. What happens when someone decides a paintball gun will get more views? Or something worse. We need new protocols that protect our personnel while maintaining the dignity of ceremonial duty. The new directive was classified, but revolutionary. Guards were authorized to break ceremonial stance in response to direct physical assault, particularly when being filmed for commercial purposes. The change recognized that ceremonial duty in the digital age required different rules. Mitchell received the briefing personally. Your restraint under those circumstances was exemplary, Corp, Colonel Whitfield told. But next time, and there will be a next time, you have options beyond standing still and taking. She was right about the timing. 2 weeks after Tyler's arrest made international headlines, copycat attacks began. The original video, despite being removed from Tyler's channel, had been downloaded and reshared millions of times. The first copycat attempt was amateur. A TikToker with 50,000 followers tried splashing Mitchell with a coffee cup. Security intercepted him before he got close. The second was a group of German tourists attempting to recreate Tyler's stunt with squirt gun. They were arrested before firing a single shot. But Marcus Mad Max Rodriguez was different. A 26-year-old YouTuber with 1.2 million subscribers specializing in extreme social experiments, he'd studied Tyler's mistakes carefully. Rodriguez had military connection. His brother served in the U.S. Marine, and he understood tactics in ways Tyler never had. Rodriguez arrived alone, concealed his equipment, and spent 3 days observing security patterns before making his move. He'd noted shift changes, guard rotations, and the precise timing when Mitchell would be most isolated from immediate backup. This wasn't an impulsive prank. It was a calculated operation. On August 3rd, Rodriguez struck during the peak tourist hour when crowds provided natural cover. He'd upgraded from Tyler's plastic water gun to what appeared to be a military-grade water rifle, black, metallic, and disturbingly realistic in design. To observers, it looked like a genuine weapon. This time, Corporal Mitchell was ready. As Rodriguez raised his weapon, Mitchell's training kicked in. Not his ceremonial training, but his combat instincts honed through 3 deployments. His mind processed multiple threat assessments simultaneously: weapon type, crowd density, escape routes, civilian safety. In one fluid motion that took less than 2 seconds, Mitchell stepped off his mark, pivoted to face the threat, and issued a command that cut through the tourist chatter like a blade. "Weapon down! Now!" His voice carried the unmistakable authority of a soldier who'd given life-or-death orders in active combat zone. Rodriguez froze, water rifle halfway to firing position, suddenly realizing he wasn't dealing with a ceremonial statue, but with a trained warrior whose eyes held the cold competence of someone who'd killed to protect others. "Sir, you are targeting a serving member of His Majesty's forces with what appears to be a weapon," Mitchell continued, his gaze locked on Rodriguez. Every word was measured, professional, terrifying in its calm precision. "Lower it immediately, or security will assume hostile intent." Crowds scattered, children cried, parents grabbed their families and backed away from what looked like a potential terrorist incident. Palace security surrounded Rodriguez within seconds, but Mitchell had already taken control of the situation with the kind of presence that only comes from genuine combat experience. Rodriguez, his bravado evaporating under Mitchell's intense stare, dropped the water rifle and raised his hands. "It's just a prank, man! It's fake!" "It's just water." "So was his," Mitchell replied evenly, nodding toward a news photographer who'd captured Tyler's attack 2 weeks earlier. "Didn't save his career, did it?" The exchange was captured by dozens of phones and professional cameras. Within hours, the footage spread across every major platform. But this time, the narrative was completely different. Instead of showing a helpless guard being humiliated, it revealed a professional soldier taking command of a threatening situation with perfect control and dignity. Rodriguez's channel was demonetized before he left police custody. Unlike Tyler's drawn-out legal process, the British authorities had prepared for copycat. Rodriguez faced immediate deportation and a permanent UK entry ban, his prank earning him exactly 12 seconds of footage before security ended his content creation dream. But as the dust settled from the second incident, something unexpected happened. Military records that had been classified during Mitchell's active combat service were declassified as part of a routine review. What emerged painted a picture that made the water gun incident seem almost mundane by comparison. Corporal James Mitchell hadn't just served 3 deployments, he'd been part of the most elite units in each theater. The operation in Eastern Europe that had earned him the Military Cross involved infiltrating a compound where British intelligence officers were being held hostage. Mitchell had gone in alone, neutralized 6 armed guards without firing a shot, and extracted the prisoners while calling in airstrikes on the facility. The Syria deployment records showed similar heroics. Mitchell had saved 17 civilian lives during the Aleppo evacuation, but what the records didn't mention, what only came to light through witness statements, was that he'd done it while suffering from a concussion and with shrapnel in his left leg from an IED explosion. Most remarkably, the Afghanistan files revealed that Mitchell had turned down promotion to officer rank 3 separate times, choosing instead to remain with his enlisted unit because, in his words, someone needs to watch out for the younger soldiers. His commanding officers described him as the finest example of military leadership they'd encountered in 20 years of service. This was the man Tyler Matthews had chosen to humiliate for entertainment. This was the soldier Marcus Rodriguez had threatened with a fake weapon. The irony was staggering. 2 content creators seeking to prove their dominance over what they perceived as a helpless target had instead picked a fight with one of Britain's most decorated warriors. The revelation transformed public perception of the incidents entirely. What had initially seemed like simple pranks gone wrong now appeared as profound demonstrations of restraint and professionalism. Mitchell had stood motionless while being assaulted not because he was powerless, but because he chose to absorb the indignity, rather than respond with the violence he was exceptionally capable of delivering. YouTube implemented new policies specifically targeting harassment of service members. The platform now required permits for commercial filming near government buildings and banned content showing assault on military personnel. Tyler's career destruction became a cautionary tale taught in digital media courses worldwide. But here's the twist that nobody saw coming. The revelation that would make headlines around the world and forever change how people viewed the incident. 3 months after the declassified military records were released, an investigative journalist discovered something extraordinary while researching Mitchell's background. The random nature of Tyler's target selection wasn't random at all. Tyler's content management company had specifically researched British military ceremonial units to identify the most vulnerable guards for pranking. Their internal emails, obtained through a Freedom of Information request related to Tyler's legal proceedings, revealed a calculated campaign to target guards who appeared least likely to break character. They had identified Mitchell specifically because of his perfect disciplinary record and his reputation for maintaining composure under pressure. In other words, Tyler hadn't accidentally chosen to assault one of Britain's most decorated war heroes. His team had deliberately selected him because they believed his very excellence as a soldier made him the perfect victim. The emails showed conversations between Tyler's manager and a former British military consultant who had provided detailed psychological profiles of various guards. Mitchell was described as ideal target. Extensive combat experience means he won't break no matter what we do to him. Perfect for viral content. When this information became public, the scandal exploded beyond anything anyone had anticipated. Tyler's management company faced lawsuits from multiple clients whose careers had been destroyed by association. The military consultant was court-martialed and discharged from his reserve position. Most shocking of all, the investigation revealed that similar targeting had been conducted against ceremonial guards in 12 other countries. The revelation recontextualized everything. Tyler and Rodriguez weren't just pranksters gone wrong. They were part of a systematic campaign to exploit military personnel for entertainment value. Mitchell's response, both times, represented not just personal restraint, but a rejection of an entire industry built on turning soldiers into content. Today, Corporal Mitchell continues his service with the King's Guard, but he's also become something unexpected, a symbol of dignity in the digital age. Tourists still gather to photograph the famous guard, but the atmosphere has changed completely. There's more respect, less attempts at provocation, and a deeper understanding that behind the ceremonial uniform stands a human being who's earned the right to dignity through service that most people couldn't imagine enduring. Tyler Matthews works at a digital marketing agency, his YouTube dreams destroyed by his own hubris. His monthly income dropped from $200,000 to $3,000, his mansion was sold to pay legal fees, and his subscriber count never recovered. He's become a cautionary tale, frequently referenced in discussions about the ethics of content creation. Marcus Rodriguez's channel never recovered from the demonetization, his subscriber count plummeting as the algorithm buried his content. But perhaps more significantly, both men learned the same lesson. When you mistake respect for weakness, you discover the difference at your own expense. The water gun that Tyler thought would make him YouTube royalty instead created a new kind of king, one who understood that real power comes not from making others feel small, but from standing tall when it matters most. What would you have done in Corporal Mitchell's position? How would you balance tradition with the need to adapt when you discover you're being deliberately targeted? Let us know in the comments below. And if this story showed you something new about real strength versus viral fame, please like and subscribe for more stories that reveal the truth behind the ceremonial facade. Don't forget to hit that notification bell, because sometimes the most important lessons come from those who serve in silence, even when the whole world is watching.